Sigmund Freud once said, "We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love." This powerful idea forms the backbone of a deeper exploration into the psychology of love, particularly from the male perspective. The message of this reflection isn't one of bitterness or misogyny. It is an invitation to confront uncomfortable truths about male-female dynamics, Freud's psychoanalytic insights, and the misplaced assumptions men carry into relationships. The dangerous allure of tension over safety. Contrary to popular belief, Freud suggested that female desire is not attracted to safety and predictability. Instead, it is drawn to danger. Not violence, but emotional and psychological unpredictability. According to this view, many women subconsciously crave tension, a kind of primal energy that comes from emotional polarity. When men give all of themselves, emotionally available, transparent, devoted, they often discover it's not enough to sustain desire. Freud's work emphasized that the unconscious mind doesn't always align with what we consciously claim to want. A woman might say she desires a kind, attentive man, but may find herself magnetized by one who is unavailable or emotionally elusive. This isn't cruelty, it's human instinct at work. Female desire, according to Freud, is tied not to comfort but to conflict, mystery and resistance. Freud's concept of repetition compulsion explains why we often repeat behaviors that harm us. For many women, attraction may be less about who offers healing and more about who reactivates emotional patterns. These emotional tests, silence and distance, provoke a reaction, and that reaction becomes the spark. When a man chases, explains, and pleads, he unintentionally loses the very tension that creates desire. Men are taught to be emotionally open, vulnerable, and validating, but this often clashes with deeper instinctual dynamics. Freud argued that repression, especially sexual repression, twisted desire into forms that society doesn't understand. What many women say they want may not match what ignites their desire. The bad boy fantasy persists not because of superficial charm, but because he embodies untamed sovereign masculinity. Containment over exposure, that's really the strength she seeks. Attraction isn't about, emotional exposure, but about containment. A man becomes desirable not by showing all his wounds, but by demonstrating mastery over his impulses. Freud believed that what truly sparks desire is a man's control over himself, not his control over the woman. He is desirable not because he needs love, but because he doesn't need love to define him. Such a man lives by direction, not desperation. He can walk away, he can say no. He's led by purpose, not by a need for validation. And paradoxically, this lack of need is what draws women in. The moment a man becomes too available, too open, too eager to please, he becomes predictable. And predictability is, well, the death of desire. The warped modern masculine identity, it's a real thing. Modern society has kind of reversed polarity. Men are told to lead with emotion, to express vulnerability, to expose themselves early and fully. Freud would argue that this breeds confusion. Women do not want emotional safety at the cost of mystery. They may appreciate kindness, but not if it replaces depth and strength. Many men become emasculated by trying to be what they think women want, only to be left feeling invisible. What they fail to realize is that admiration must precede love. Without respect, love dies. When a woman senses a man is emotionally dependent, she begins to pull away, not from cruelty, but because the instinctual dynamic has been severed. Freud's idea of sublimation, that's really the key to transformation. Men must channel their primal drives, anger, lust, heartbreak, into higher expressions like ambition, discipline, and creative purpose. Through this kind of alchemy, they evolve from reactive beings into creators. This is the man who stands tall not by dominating others, but by mastering himself. When a man becomes unshakable, when his life continues whether or not a woman stays, he awakens something ancient in the feminine psyche. She no longer sees him as needy, but as sovereign, and in that sovereignty, attraction flourishes. Reclaiming masculine purpose. The final truth is both sobering and liberating. Love alone is not enough, not if it lacks polarity, power, and purpose. A man must earn respect, not through submission, but through self-leadership. He must rebuild the architecture of his soul, not to impress, but to align with his deeper nature. This message is not a call to domination or emotional coldness. It is a call to presence, to mastery, to the rediscovery of a masculine center that does not bend for approval. In doing so, a man becomes the very thing a woman can trust, not because he tries to be her everything, but because he remains anchored in who he is, with or without her.